Hi there. Merry Christmas. I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. This is Nation Real Life, and as you can tell, it's very quiet here in the Nation Real Life studio in the basement of Little Brick, and it appears that I'm the only one who remembered we have a podcast to record, and just because it's Christmas Eve doesn't mean we get a day off work. So I sit here alone quietly, wondering what I'm going to do for the next hour. And what I've decided to do is put together a best of episode with 3 of my favorite interviews from the past year. None of the other guys have a say in what interviews are going into this because they didn't show up. Of course, I can't forget that we need to give some love to our good friends at Japa Machinery, and it's a holiday season for Japa as well, but the deals will be back in the new year, and they'll be back and better than ever. Don't forget, you can check them out on their Instagram, Japa_machinery, japamachinery.com as well. They had a great Christmas jingle that we played on our last episode that I will not replay for you now, but all it takes is a quick scroll through their Instagram to feel the family environment that they have at Japa, and if you need equipment, you know you need to go to Japa. So, I have 3, they're roughly between 20 and 30-minute clips of our interview with Eric Gryba, the now retired Oilers defenseman. We talked about some great things, including his massive goal against the LA Kings that sent the Oilers to the playoffs. I have about 30 minutes of a conversation with Kelly Buchberger, which is fantastic as well. But probably the most fun I've had recording a podcast this year is when we had former Oilers defenseman Ladi Smid in studio over the summer. He came in, pulled up in a very nice Ford F-150 blacked out truck, and he gave us roughly 3 hours of fantastic stories about being an Oiler, about being traded, and many more. If you haven't listened to the full interview, there's 2 parts. You can find them in our archives now. But here's 30 minutes where he started off just telling us some good old hockey stories, and he ended it with some optimism on the Oilers' future.
So when you were going to be part of the Danny Heatley trade, remember that was like hanging in the atmosphere, and we didn't know. Did you ever get to see the DVD they made for Danny Heatley?
Oh my God.
No.
So the Oilers made Danny Heatley a DVD during this schmozzle where you were going to get traded.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is Edmonton. And we heard about it, but no one's ever seen the DVD. You've never...
No, never. I didn't even know about DVD.
You didn't know the DVD?
No. Well, I just one morning I woke up and my agent texted me like, you might get traded for Danny Heatley. What was it? Me, Penner, and...
You and Penner.
You were linked to some crazy big names.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, fuck.
They were trying to convince him to waive his no trade. When this trade came down, he wouldn't waive his no trade. So the DVD was them trying to persuade him to waive the no trade.
Yeah.
Oh,
I bet you that DVD.
I met Heather at Tom Gilbert's wedding. Fuck. We had some laughs about it.
It's always you for me.
Like, yeah.
Because here's the
So
trade.
you were traded one for Pronger.
Here's the trade. It would have been it was Ladi, Andrew Cogliano, and Dustin Penner in exchange for Danny Heatley.
I almost say
Cox
thank
too,
God
eh?
we didn't get him.
Man, thank God.
That's Ottawa wins that trade.
Oh, every day. Every day.
Yeah.
I bet you Danny Heatley's one of those guys that's somewhere with a Ferrari, and he's just like, yeah, no,
Probably
it's
is.
fine. I'm
Hell of a
fine.
guy too.
Yeah?
I liked him. I met him a couple times. I liked him.
But
He made
how did you feel like once you heard that this
weird.
trade?
Like, how
it
you
must have
supposed
been a
to-
weird month.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
You're
And then
trying to.
You're a good
trying-
Oiler. Why are they doing this to you?
Yeah, but Danny Heatley, hell of a player, man. Like, I don't know. Like, it's business.
Is that?
I don't-
Is it hard to buy in on the one hand and like block a shot with your teeth, but then the other hand be like, oh well, they're gonna maybe trade me and they let me hang.
It has to be, but it's like, fuck. It's hard. I see both sides. You know, you're trying to make your team better, and this is, you firmly believe it's gonna make your team better, and you're gonna win the Stanley Cup with this guy. Fuck.
But how
I guess
does
you
it-
gotta go with that. Sometimes it works though. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, you never know until you do it.
How do they not know he's not going to waive the no trade though? How does this even come
that's-
out?
that's
How does
the-
the
that's
structure break down so
that's-
hard
that is crazy,
that this
yeah.
actually happens?
The way it happened, like you just explained or described, that's fucking crazy.
Nuts.
It's nuts. You know, but for me, when I'm talking about like just a straight business, and if it would be done the proper way, like
That's bad
fine.
business.
Yeah.
That's bad business.
Yeah,
That's a company that's like having real breakdown
Yeah,
in their structure of how they do simple
fucking
things
DVD.
like
I would
trades.
love to see the
I would
DVD.
give anything to see this DVD.
It's like somebody sailing
It's
on the
gotta
boat
be
through
on
the
YouTube.
fucking river. It's like, oh,
You don't think this ain't- It's probably on YouTube Kids, to be honest with you.
Edmonton is a population of 980,000, and if you look to your right, there's the Hotel McDonald.
they were trying to sell him on gonna fucking lower taxes, no? Probably
Well,
at that
you'd
time.
think, right?
Fuck.
Yeah.
And West Edmonton Mall, all the nice showrooms,
Beautiful.
the theme rooms.
Fuck,
Nice,
great
man.
water park.
Unbelievable.
Great fucking water
Indoor
park.
roller coaster.
Amen.
Oh my
How could
God.
I lose? Says Danny Heatley.
Was it weird to come back to work though? Like coming back to Edmonton after they were trying to move you and it didn't go through? Like, was that is that weird, or you
It's-
just
it's-
got to move on?
It's weird, but yeah, as soon as the I have arrived here, it was kind of out of my media asked me about it, but I kind of brushed it off. Like, you're focusing on the season, like whatever happens. Like I said, it's part of the business, and I understand it better now than I did back then, but I think I handled myself pretty well.
You were a pro. I
Yeah.
remember, you were
it-
very classy the whole way
Like it happens. Like I would be sad, well, even devastated almost, but didn't happen. Fucking,
So it's back to work.
back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when you got traded to the Flames, and I think, did they open the season the next year at the Battle of Alberta? Or like very quickly. We
I
saw
don't
you in a Flames jersey.
Yeah.
And we're being like, well, ain't that some fucking shit?
Do you know how
Well,
weird? What was it when I walked into the arena, and you go left instead of right?
At
Rexall. At
Yeah.
Rexall. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Then you go like, from the Zamboni through the Zamboni door.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm pretty sure that was the same fucking game. Mike Camilleri, they forgot to put his steel in his skates.
He was
And
falling
he's
all
like-
around.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck it's and he did his like little fucking quick feet run and like jump on the ice and like boom face planted. I was like, yeah. I started laughing. I was like, holy! I couldn't even help him how hard I was fucking laughing. So that took my fucking mind off things. And then you come right before the game, right before the anthems. You come like it's dark right at the arena. So I walked in. I did like a fucking hot lap. Didn't see the fucking cable from the TV.
Oh,
fucking
no.
trip over it. Head first into the boards. I was like, some guys saw it, but thank God it was dark, so not too many people saw it. It's like fucking like I had like
The same game Camilleri had those skates?
yeah.
It's mayhem.
Yeah, it was a fucking. I fucking jinxed myself. It was a fucking karma, man. Yeah, it was crazy.
I just pulled up the trade article from the day that you were moved to Calgary on our
Yeah.
website on OilersNation.com, and one of the first comments is, "We just traded away a grit and ornery guy. That is a massive step back for the organization." Looking through these comments, people were mad, man.
Nobody was happy you got traded, Laddie.
Well, I
Everybody
wasn't
was
happy
Team
either.
Smid.
I wasn't happy either, guys. Like I still love it here. Obviously, I could come back. And,
You're sitting here in Little Brick right now. That tells a lot.
Yeah, and I'm from Czech, man. Long way home, man. But I love Edmonton. Like, people can say what they want, fucking cold, whatever. Fuck. I have some real friends. I built up some great relationships, and it's always gonna be part of me now.
So if you were making a video for the Danny Heatley, if you worked for the Oilers, what would be the top 5 things that you would put on that thing for
Good
Edmonton?
question, Chalmers.
Yes,
well done.
very
Good
good
job.
question.
Yeah, I like this podcast. Yeah.
Top 5 things.
Or just one of the things you love about Edmonton, right?
Yeah, the water park, we know.
The people, probably.
Joey's Jasper app. Well,
Oh, hey, let him answer.
now local.
yeah. Don't give them all 5 things.
Yeah.
For sure, people. I obviously when things didn't go well, like, they give you sometimes hard times, but mostly it was all positive, and they still sell out the fucking building, even though team is going through some shit. So that obviously the city. It's been a long battle, making playoffs, not making the playoffs, but they still they support you. They still stand behind you.
Yeah.
What else?
Landmarks. You said water park earlier. You said it was great.
It's great. It's great. Honestly, new arena.
What do you think of the new arena?
It's fucking sick, and like I would try to sell them on that. Like the downtown is changing. I think great idea. It helped downtown big time. And
You can live in a tower
yeah.
now, walk across a sky bridge.
Exactly.
And be in the arena.
Like, it's so convenient for people.
Have you been in the new dressing room?
I haven't, but I need to go. I have to. I have to.
That's
Can
so
you
cool.
just-
You can just say, I'm going to go there, and they'll
Can you
let
just
in.
roll up to Rogers Place and be like,
I would have
once
to-
an Oiler, always an Oiler, assholes?
I would have to text one of the equipment managers. I don't like. It's honestly great to raise your family here. I feel like, like, but I'm from Czech. We don't have that many fucking play parks and all that shit, like, but it's very important. Like when now I have family, it's actually lots to do. Like I can take them, like I said, play parks, a lot of fields, and like kids can be out.
Every neighborhood has a spray
Yeah.
park, a play park, like great fields for soccer, tons of baseball, like.
I think it's a very family friendly
Yeah.
city, and then I would sell them on some bars probably.
The pint.
all
Would
of
you
them.
say the pint?
Fucking on the rocks.
Oh,
yeah.
rocks.
Pint on the rocks.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I went to Mercer a few times.
The bars have changed, hey? It's not like it used to be
No.
back in the day. Like these little kids, the ranch is closing.
I heard.
Can you
what a
believe
shame.
that?
What a shame.
Unbelievable.
Well, was it the ranch when you were here? It
Yeah,
wasn't.
but
Oh, yeah.
Barry,
it was
no,
ranch,
it was
but
Barry
what
T's,
was
that
the- what was the-
1996.
Iron Horse.
Iron Horse.
What a place that was.
Yeah.
Oh my
Legendary.
God. Always like standing behind the bar was awesome.
Oh, that place is great.
Daddy,
It had-
guest bartend there in the middle of the night.
it was
Yeah.
unreal.
yeah. And when was? No, that was way before him. Like Rum Jungle and Bourbon Street. And
Rum
stuff.
Jungle. I remember Rum
Do you
Jungle.
remember Up?
I remember.
Oh,
yeah, 'cause
That was almost
yeah.
dangerous place though.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
There was some fights there outside.
Oh, you got to get in a fight around jungle. You weren't even trying.
Yeah.
That was the old back. Just us garbage guys. Yeah.
You had to leave. You had to leave at about 1:45. If you were in that open section in the front
Yeah.
with that had the big slope to it when the lights came on, oh man, it wasn't hard to catch a look the wrong way.
Yeah.
in that place.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, some good
Reds.
places.
Go play bowling at Reds.
Edmonton's changed a lot though. Like when you come back home now, do you look and go like, "Oh, geez, this is not the same
Like
city."
so
I
much,
know."
yeah, so many like nice and upcoming areas, and it's getting more modern. And
The restaurant scene's changing a lot too.
yeah, and I love Calgary. When you go, on the 17 or like a Stevens Avenue, like you have these like little local restaurants, not too many chain restaurants, and it's all local. And I feel like it's coming here too, and it's good to see. I'm big food fanatic.
Are you?
I love food, yeah, and I love to cook. I love to bake for kids, and even bake. Man, learn baking.
That is a shocking piece.
Do you go back to Calgary for the Stampede every year?
I went for the first time last year because I was here, so
Right.
I went.
What'd you think?
Crazy,
And were
Did
you
you
like,
take it
why
all?
did I start going like
crazy,
early?
and I was with Johnny Hockey too.
Oh,
wow.
child, my God!
Going to the
How'd
Stampede
you walk
with
through
Elvis.
that place?
Yeah, with Elvis. Yeah,
With Elvis,
it was
Little Elvis.
little Elvis.
Elvis.
little fucking crazy. But it was good to see. Good
Yeah, I bet it was.
experience. Like I like to have fun, and it was good. Like it's good for a city. That generates a lot of money, and like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm not huge in fucking rodeo or
No,
fucking
but
that kind of shit.
that's the thing about the
no one
Stampede.
is.
Nobody
Yeah,
there is.
cowboy
yeah.
for 3 days.
Just fucking, yeah.
Yeah, you buy a cowboy hat for 7 days of the year.
Yeah.
and wear
Yeah.
them at the Stampede.
What were Flames fans like as a Flame? Like we're Oilers fans. We know realistically we're the same people, but we hate them. Like how were Flames fans to deal with those? As a player? Different than Oilers fans?
Yeah, it is a little different because here, this is like a hard working city. Like a lot of hard working people. So people are more I'd say vocal. There is more white collar, but they still support you to death. Like they love their Flames.
Yeah.
But it's not as, I guess, almost I'd say like personal. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's like,
Can I try?
yeah,
So
Can I tell you, Ladislav Smid?
I want to see. I want to see.
exactly
I
what
want
you
to see
think.
if
Allow
you
me.
agree with this.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit more like business savvy, and they think it might be a little too cool to be like passionate about the Oilers or the Flames, but they are here a little more, blue collar, and it's
yeah, it's a little,
acceptable.
Yeah, exactly. But
So
but
I
it's-
did it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ish.
yeah. That's yeah.
I think-
I agree with that.
I think Edmontonians probably work harder to pay for their tickets, so they feel a closer connection to the players.
Probably.
Or want that closer connection. Where like in Calgary, it's like more corporate and like more like these tickets just come to them because their company bought them. So it's not like it's deep rooted. Yes, they want to.
but they support you fucking like it's like it's crazy there too at times.
Yeah. Well, playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
but it's more personal here. It's more on a personal basis here. Like people, like I don't want to call them blue collar people. Fuck, it's like disrespectful almost.
Not at all. I think I know what you mean. Like,
you know what I mean?
pride ourselves
It's
on-
more like
we pride-
it's like personal. Like
they're betting with their own money. They're
Yeah.
buying Oilers hats with their own cash.
yeah, this guy who fucking makes like 300,000 a year, fucking like corporate guy or whatever. He probably doesn't feel like totally comfortable going up to you and fucking being like friendly or like whether it's like doesn't feel comfortable or it's too cool. I don't know. But here like people just fucking they see us like, hey, what's up, man? Is it you? Like, it's like really friendly, like really personal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Oilers can be heroes, right? And like,
Fuck.
there's certain players that cross the divide from like people like you to like you're a hero, right? I would put you in the hero category, right?
That guy,
Smitty. Yeah.
He was a hero here.
Yeah. Smitty's car could break down in 2070 on Jasper Avenue, and old Smitty will get out of his car, and like people are like, it's Smitty, and he still has a mullet. And they'll come running out to fix his car
Seriously.
for him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
I agree.
Oilers, I think, cross that line. I would put you in that camp. I would put you,
No.
yes, maybe not at a Smitty level, but you're in the camp of the Smitties, of like guys who came to Edmonton and bought in and did what was required to
appreciate
get the
it.
job done, for sure. Like,
I appreciate that
all
people
we-
recognize that, man.
Hemsky's
It means
another
a
guy
lot.
like that too,
Oh,
right?
geez, yeah.
Hemsky came in and paid the
love-
fucking price for years.
Hammer loves Edmonton again. Another guy who's got a lot of friends. I love Hammer. Great guy. Fuck.
You still talk to him in the off seasons or however?
I haven't talked to him for a while now, but like we used to. I have to reach out to him. It's this fucking cool fucking Dallas lifestyle. Fuck. Fucking probably eating fucking green shit. Fucking I don't.
Is he a health guy now? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he was turning into that stuff. Fuck. I don't know. I hope he still drinks beers. Fuck.
That guy paid the price so
God,
many nights
yeah.
to be an Oiler.
Oh yeah.
But I would include you in that same camp, right? Like there's guys that come through and you look like Steve Stales is one of those guys. Jason Smith is one of those guys. Matt Hendricks is one of those guys.
Sean Horkoff.
Sean Horkoff.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah.
So what did you think of Sean Horkoff? Good job, Chalmers. You're on fire.
Again, one of my favorite people in hockey. Tons of respect for him.
For normal guys like us that don't know Sean Horkoff from other than what we see on TV, what was he like?
Very determined, intelligent guy. Very intelligent guy. Can't stress that enough. Determined, hardworking guy. Always wanted to get better. So whatever fucking, he would do anything to make himself a better athlete or better hockey player. So he would fucking buy whatever fucking it took to make yourself better, or train different programs, or like stay up to date with where
Like a Chelios, a fitness machine, right?
yeah, like really, but really smart, and one of probably my favorite captain I had. Like seriously, I really like Hork.
That's
Like,
interesting.
yeah,
That's
What
super-
makes a good captain?
lead by example. Doesn't have to even fucking talk that much, even though he would have few words. But just, I think you're like born to be captain. It's not like you either have it or you don't. And I feel like he had it. Just whatever he did it right. Like you can have fucking like from production standpoint, like point wise, you don't have to have. Some seasons are better, some are worse. But he showed up every night, and he wanted to. I think he was. You could use him in any role. He was a hardworking guy. He could produce points. That's just the hockey side. But like off ice, you could go to him. It wasn't like weird talking to him. Like young older guy, you could talk to him about anything. He always stood up for his teammates, even against coaches or management. Always told them what the team felt like and what we wanted, and a lot of respect for him, man. And
It's really weird how Sean Horkoff was like a late draft pick and like got better every single year in the NHL.
because of that, because work ethic, because you're trying. I think you're trying to fucking. You're trying to prove like that you're trying to prove people wrong that you were late drafted. Fuck, why? Like he didn't play like a late.
No,
draft
but he
pick.
got every year he improved.
And every year work ethic and just like I mentioned, he's very smart. So he knew that he needs to stay updated on everything like that's going on with training and that was the thing. Like with him, like always every fucking year, like he would come and he would bring a new thing or talk to the conditioning coach. about, hey, did you hear about this? Like, can it make us better or make me better? And like that's how he went every year. So I think that helped him a lot to getting better and better.
It's crazy. Like, so he does the cup run and he's unreal. He got so many points in that cup run in 06, right? Great two-way player. Signs the big ticket deal. This is like the first time the Oilers can afford their star, right? And they're like, you know what? We're going to make our bet on Sean Horkoff. I can't remember what the deal was. It was like 6 years or something like that. It was an amazing contract. And then he went to the All-Star game in his first year into this big contract. Tripped, fell, and blew out his shoulder. At the All-Star game.
I know. How crazy
it's like
is that?
the climb to get into the NHL and then took him to the pinnacle of his career at the All-Star game with like a 6-year deal in his back pocket. And that's when it came down.
Yeah, it sucks, but yeah, fuck. I guess it was supposed to happen. It sucks, but
he was a great leader.
Great leader. And again, like he was in that group with all these guys. Like he was a little younger than Ethan Morrow or Jason Smith or Stevie Steos, but still he was in that group. Like Fernando Pisani was a great guy.
I think the common trend that they all have is that they quietly do the right thing.
Exactly. And like you would never like hear them fucking complain too much.
No, you do things behind closed doors with certain people.
Exactly.
You always are doing, in every situation, in every learning position or time that there is, they're doing the right thing in the right way.
Yeah.
So that people respect
and it's
them
just
and go.
like they're not even trying too hard.
Not even
it's
trying,
effortless because it's part of you. Like I said, you're born with that. You can get better at that. You can learn a few things, but I think
when
a lot of it
you make
is
a
like
mistake, right?
Yeah.
Like when maybe you call it the wrong guy at the wrong time. You get too emotional in a situation, and that's what you go. You think about how I could have done that better, and then you do it better the next time, and people realize
just
it.
like in a real life, right? Like you're trying to be always like a better person and grow as a person. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
I remember a story about Horky because you're talking about his preparation and always wanted to be better and smart and like student of the game. I remember reading an article that he spent the offseason. He went to the Easton Stick Factory in like Mexico for like 2 weeks because he wanted to like make the perfect stick for himself.
They make Eastons in Mexico?
Well, they did at the time.
No, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's
Warrior too, I think it was.
So he went there because he wanted to like get like the perfect kick point and the curve.
Yeah.
Like he went and invested the time.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
He was that kind of guy. He's that kind of guy. Like the latest of the latest shit. Fuck, he would have it.
That's what you meant when you said he buys the stuff. Like he always wanted to be on the cutting edge. Eh?
Yeah, like seriously.
Yeah,
because he wanted it.
The determination was incredible. Like to become better and better but. Like he would share it with us too. Like he would like try to help us. It wasn't like he would just keep it for himself. Like it was like a real leader, like trying to make the fucking team better. And
where's he now? Do you know what he's doing?
Detroit Players Development.
Player development in Detroit.
Yeah.
I think Uncle Ken might try and find a way to bring him on.
Rumor has it Uncle Ken wants to bring him in.
That would be great for the Oilers.
Speaking of Oilers captains, I just have to ask as that guy, what do you think of our new captain, number 97, Connor? Have you heard of Connor McDavid and perhaps his...
McJesus?
That's right. We invented that.
It's fucking unreal. That guy, like I don't know him, and I personally I don't know how he's as a captain or leader. Like,
is there a little party that once an Oiler is always an Oiler that's watching this?
I would love.
Oh shit!
I like watching Oilers just because. Well, not just because of him. Well, I want Calgary do well. I want Oilers do well.
It's like having two kids. You love them both.
Like, and
secretly, you
too
love
bad
the
they
Oilers
hate each other. But just like watching him and watching
Draisaitl. I don't know that we even hate
it,
each other anymore. I feel like the only people who get amped up for Battle of Alberta games now are the announcers. Honest to God, they're like, boy, oh boy, the Battle of Alberta, and fans are like,
it's not like I mentioned.
Lucic punched Smith in the head 2 years ago at the end of the season. That was like the highlight of the Battle of Alberta since your days.
Fuck. Yeah.
Like the Lucic popped the goalie in the head and we all went nuts. That was it.
It's fuck. Don't get me started.
We have to try.
Where were we?
McDavid.
Yeah, McDavid.
Like he has those same aspects as a quiet, does everything the right way, the quiet way.
Yeah, I guess, but I can imagine like somebody giving me C at that
Young
early
age.
age. Now it's like the trend. I don't know if it's wrong or right. I don't know. Like he's the best player in the league, in my opinion.
Do you think maybe they gave it to him just because there was
face
no
of a
real good
franchise
second option at that time?
I guess, but I still feel like you need like a veteran group around you to help you and grow as a captain and leader. I think he's gonna be a great captain, but so much pressure, which he handled well. Like being in this, he's
been Connor McDavid since he was like 10, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I think he was prepared for it. Like they were preparing him for this his whole life. Yeah. They knew. You see him on the ice. They knew right away, right?
There's so many crazy stories though. Like when he first came into the league and he was in training camp, he took a really crappy training camp number. And they were talking about like when you make the team. He's like, no. If I make the team, like I remember his first year in the league, he wouldn't really make any comments on other players in the league. They'd ask him. I like that.
Respectful.
He's very respectful. He's a very humble guy.
Yeah,
right?
that's and that's who you're gonna follow as a teammate, right? Like that's a leader. And like you want the guy to have that aspect in them. I cannot. I don't know if he's good captain or not. Like I never talked to anyone about him really. Like I just see him on the ice and fuck.
He does some shit though.
Fuck me. Like
I'm
glad I'm out of the fucking league. Like it's insane, and like him and Draisaitl together.
What do you think of Draisaitl?
Fuck. Well, when he first got drafted, everybody's like questioning his fucking skating and shit. Like, fuck, not issue at all. But when 18-year-old, he was already big and strong. And I was like, fuck, this guy's gonna be a fucking beast, and just he is. And he's smart too. So like he thinks the game well. Everybody's like talking about like you have to be fucking super fast or super skilled. I think fucking you gotta think the game. Like you can, if you're dumb, like so many players fucking didn't make it. They had the skill, they had the speed, they had the strength. If you don't think the game well, you're not gonna be in the NHL because most of the guys can think the game well. Almost all of them who are in the NHL, and yeah, I think he's a stud, and like he's like fucking like he protects the puck. He can fucking skate at the puck in the offensive zone for fucking 30 seconds and won't let the fucking defenseman touch it because he's just so strong and uses his edges well and with his head up. Like they got like, yeah.
Do you think the OL, and I realize this is like quasi conflict of interest, but like, do you think the OL can turn it around? Do you think we're going to be okay?
Yeah. I think so.
Can you tell me the story of how it's going to be okay? I'd like to hear it from you,
I'm not a manager, so I don't know, but they need a few pieces. Not gonna go into details, but I believe they brought Ken Holland and
Dave Tippett now too.
Yeah, that's I know a lot of people who played for him, and I didn't hear anything bad about him. Like
Good communicator.
They should have tried to bring him earlier. I feel like he was.
Well, we've had only 8 coaches in the last 11 years.
He was available. Like he did some good things in Arizona, and that was his latest gig. But and obviously Holland had a lot of success with Detroit, and I believe they can turn it around.
It's crazy that GMs make $5 million now. Hey,
yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
5 years, $25 million US.
It's nice, but if he can turn it around,
yeah, earn every penny.
Worth every penny, and other teams turn it around. Why couldn't Oilers turn it around?
Look at the Blues.
Yeah,
last in the league this year, and now they're in the Cup Finals.
Like I believe that. Like, I know it's probably hard for Oilers fans to believe that because every year is the same song about we gotta be better, but
Ladi Smid was a straight up beauty. Loved that talk with former Oilers D-man Ladi Smid, and my second favorite interview of the year that we did on Nation Real Life was without a doubt with an Oilers legend, Kelly Buchberger. And again, if you haven't listened to the full episode, I urge you to go back. But if you want the Cole's Notes version of it, this 36-minute span here of our roughly 2-hour interview with Kelly Buchberger sum things up nicely. There's some good moments in here. Give it a listen.
So you've been involved in the NHL. You were talking about a little bit earlier, like the transition from.
It's just the game has evolved huge now. It's a business. I remember when I first started the Oilers, I think they had maybe 10, 15 people working the office, maybe. And now, what is there, 300 or 250, 300. And it's just amazing the monster they've built here. And you know what, even though we've had some lean years here in Edmonton and the fans have been just unreal, like the most dedicated fans I probably think in the league. I'll be a little biased about everything, but we haven't had the success that we want, but the fans are there every night. And, you hear people grumble in the golf course or in the lounges
On
that,
the internet, as
that
we do,
I'm going to give my season tickets up, but they don't.
No,
They don't.
never do.
I think so I started watching. I'm making about myself now, Chalmers. I started
Not a
shoveling
boy. See, you're getting it.
shoveling all my neighbor's snow,
Shit.
Mr. Buchberger. Shoveled all my neighbor's snow when I was 13.
Mr.
about one
Buchberger.
season. Fucking show respect. Not my best friend, you piece of shit. Let me finish my story. It's
Okay,
a
go.
nice story,
It
Chalmers.
is a great
You probably
story.
aren't around positive conversation much because you're so fucking about
All
you.
right.
But I got some
snow
shit.
shovel seasons.
Bought a season ticket to the Oilers, 1994. Shoveled all my neighbor's snow. Went with my old grandma. She was 88. I was 14. So I got involved in 94, right? That's like the lean years, right? And it was astounding to me how you guys picked it up from 94, like a low point, to 97, 98. We're in the playoffs. We're shooting and scoring. Like, this is good times are happening all around us through to about 02, 03. And you left to go to the Thrashers in 2000. And I remember being like, well, shit. If Kelly Buchberger's leaving in the goddamn expansion draft, we are fucked, because who the hell lets their captain bounce in an expansion draft? What was going to Atlanta like? Because you've talked about coming to the Oilers and there's like a winning culture. How hard was it to go to Atlanta and establish in a non-NHL city an NHL franchise?
Well, it was a little disappointing because I think I was only 29 at that time or 30, and the Oilers pretty much just give me away for nothing.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it was for
Yeah,
nothing.
our captain.
Were you, like, we can talk about this now, statute of limitations. Were you mad? I was fucking mad as shit.
Well, actually, I never got a phone call from Slats till later on, and he goes, "Hey, Kelly, I know you know that you're going to get picked up by Atlanta and going on." And I was like, "Well, why?" And he goes, "Well, we're moving, like they always say, we're going in a different direction." And I'm like, "Okay, well," he goes, "Good luck with everything." And it was a really short call. But when I got there, Atlanta, if you've ever been in Atlanta, you fly into the airport. The airport is gigantic compared to Edmonton. Like, it's huge. And then the traffic. The traffic is unbearable. And that was back in year 2000. You're not moving at all. And we ended up going and finding a house. We bought a house there, but it was the team was unreal. We had a good general manager with Donnie Waddell. We had a rookie coach with Kirk Fraser, and we had a lot of misfit guys all over the place that were filling guys in the NHL. And we had just a terrible, terrible season. I left. I got traded at the deadline. We only had 12 wins at that time, and they finished with 13. They got one left. Like, it was hard for everybody, and it was so hard for the players and the coaches, but it was probably harder for the organization, for everybody, because they sold out, but we weren't getting the results that they wanted to. And then it was a great place to live. We lived there for a year. But the thing is still every day I'd look at the Oilers. Okay, well, how are they doing? Who's scoring? What's going on? I was more of an Oiler back then than I was a Thrasher.
It's so interesting that you.
God.
Yeah,
I know.
It's so
I would
interesting.
listen to this podcast if it was available.
It's interesting that you went through an expansion with Moose Jaw. They were a new team, you said, when you started with them. Then you become a staple on a team for like 12 years. You're just, it's consistent. And then all of a sudden, you're like right back to that expansion. Did it remind you back then? Did you have to think about, like, okay, this is what we have to do again? This is the leadership I got to bring? Or was it just totally different?
It was totally different. It was just one of those things, like, we brought guys in from all over the place, so no one played with each other at all. And so I think every team had to give up one player. Like, so I can't remember the rule back then, but it is what it is. And we all kind of fit together. And you know what? I don't, like, I ended up scoring the first goal, and that was the highlight of my whole career there. And I was the captain there, and with everything. And it was a good experience for a while, but the novelty wore off quick. And when you're losing by 9 at times. It's really disheartening for everybody. And you can't even point fingers anymore, because we're not that good. We weren't that good, and we couldn't compete with the division we were in.
How was the city? You ever Magic City on a Monday, or what? What was it like?
We found every part of that city.
Did you ever go out in the clubs in Atlanta as a fellow baller and like run into Ludacris or run into like Atlanta Hawks who were like 4 Lamborghinis parked on the dance floor? Did you see the crazy ATL life?
We seen it all there. And that time, the baseball team, They were
Braves, yeah.
Braves were the best team in the league back then, and so we were going to the World Series and tailgating, and besides hockey,
Was this like Greg Maddox, John Smoltz, like that?
all
year?
those guys. Yeah, we played golf with those guys. We hung out with those guys, and then the football team. And actually, the year that we were there, 2000, not Grey Cup, Super Bowl was there. And it's actually a party city.
Did you see any, like when you were in the clubs? Did you see rappers in there too? Like, did you see celebrities?
Probably did. I was
You
in.
don't have to name
But you're in the
names, but-
VIP. Like, I assume you're
I
there
was
with
in
Jermaine Dupri dancing.
There's a place called Buckhead there, and it's like White Ave on steroids, and so it's a huge party area. So all the athletes and entertainers and everybody are there. And
Because there's like the VIP scene of Atlanta you just don't have in Edmonton, where you're like, oh, you can only go to that bar if you're like signed to a team or some shit.
I played for the Thrashers. We didn't get into.
I was
VIP.
gonna say you're the
Oh
captain.
yeah, right. Yeah,
You're the captain of the Thrashers.
Yes,
That's like
of course you did.
being an old lineman, pretty much in ATL, isn't it? Not like
We were bottom feeders back then.
I'm sure you didn't get cheated.
Does it double blow your mind then to watch the Golden Knights come into the league as an expansion team? You're like, what in the flying fuck are these idiots doing so differently?
You know what? I think it's great for the game. No one expected it. There's no question. No one expected it, but it was amazing. You know what? Spud is a great coach. He is really a good coach. He reminds me of Ronnie Lowe. He brings everybody to the fight, and everybody has to be accountable, has to be in there, and they got some good assistant coaches. And you know what? They probably ended up getting the best goalie maybe in the league at that time with Fleury.
Yeah.
So he gave him a chance to win all the time, moved a couple pieces that they didn't think they would score. They were scoring them, 29 goals, 28 goals. A couple guys that were fourth-line players in other organizations, but they had a couple surprises, but everything went well for them. And you know what? They ended up responding the next year. They had another good year.
They're a good team. It drives Jay nuts. He was like, you'll see, this fucking Golden Knights are bullshit.
Fake news.
At every milestone of the season, we're like, well, now what? He's like, I don't know what to tell you. All the way to the cup, I don't know what to tell you. Did you watch him and go like, why wasn't my expansion team like that?
But you know what? If you go to Vegas for a hockey game, it's an event. It really is. It's I think the closest you can find to it is if you go to a game in Montreal. Montreal it's not a game, it's an event for everybody. And it's a different feeling when you go to Montreal for a hockey game than you would go to, like, let's just say San Jose. Or
Chalmers' favorite team, yes, of course.
Yeah. But I think when you go to Vegas, the atmosphere in the rink is further than anybody other rink in the league. Like, it is that high. Like, it's amazing. And you know what? They get their players jacked up. Their fans are going hard. And it's just crazy, the atmosphere there. I was coaching with New York a year ago, and when we went there, we ended up winning, but it was hard. Like, they came hard at us, and the fans were unreal.
What do you think of the warm up that they do behind the opposing team's net around the glass and have those girls dancing in behind?
We were there for 5 days. I don't remember anything.
For those that in Vegas, so on the opposing team's warm up side, so behind their goalie, all they see is these beautiful women and like Amazonian women and like those like what are those like the can dresses? I don't know, and they're just dancing behind the opposing team for the entire warm up. Is like the biggest distraction you can ever see because it's mesmerizing.
Yeah, they did a good job of promoting that team and during the games and outside the arena, like the tailgating and everything outside is unreal. Like, it's a big party outside for everybody before the game, and they come in, they're half cut, and then they get into the game, and then after that, they're on their own. They go from there. So,
does any part of you look at Vegas having a hockey team though and be like, Las Vegas, super rich young millionaires, markers at casinos, playing in the morning.
This could get dangerous.
This could be a disaster. Like, do you worry at all as a staple of the league?
I think the players have changed a lot. They still go out. There's no question they still go out. They don't go out like it was back in the day. There's no question. They can't. The travel's hard. Social media is killing all them going out because they're going to get caught all the time. And I feel like the players are more disciplined now than they ever have been. But with Vegas, you're still going to have guys that are going to have their warts. They're going to go out and their guys are gamblers, maybe drinkers. They're going to be out there and things are going to happen. And
Vegas is going to make it. They're designed for people like that to fuck their lives up.
Yeah, and you got look what's happening in Vegas with the football team coming in there, and then they're talking maybe a baseball team coming in, and it go on from there. But it's just, I've been in Vegas a lot, but being there when I have been there, it's been a great time.
Speaking of the craziness of your career, I need to ask about these 194 fights that you've had in the NHL. I am looking at this list of some of the people that you have squared up with. Where do you find the balls to go against a guy like Gino Ojic or Darian Hatcher or Joey Koser or Bob Probert? Are you shitting your pants when you're doing this, or is this just part of the job and you're doing what you have to do to stay in the league and do what you have to do to contribute to your team?
I think at the start of my career, I had to do it just to stay in the league and prove myself, because back then you had 5 guys that did what I did in your organization. Now there isn't one, I don't think. And then it dwindled down from there. You'd have 2 or 3 guys, but I just didn't want to change the way I played. For my 18 years, I wanted to play the same way. And I ended up developing into a better player and, getting some better quality ice time, killing penalties, and had a couple good years. But it's one of those things that you just got to do what you're not comfortable, and hopefully it's an asset to the team.
Is there a guy that when you think back and you look back at all your scraps, or maybe just kind of going back in your memory at all the memories, is there a guy that you just think, I can't believe I did that? Like that made 0 sense.
Well, there's a lot of guys. There's no question. It was probably all of them, 190, whatever that was the number. I don't know what it was, but one comes from Probert was always one of those guys that you're never going to win. There's no question, but you're kind of there for him to clean up. But I fought Link Gates one night. And I think he had a really hard night the night before, and he ended up cutting me for 37 stitches one day in the head and face, all over the place. He cracked my helmet in half, and back then that's when they were playing the Cow Palace.
The old Winwell got cracked?
Yeah.
Those things have been
I
destructible.
think that thing would take a bullet.
So they were playing in the Cow Palace. It was their first year, and it was an old rink.
Such a weird barn. The curtains everywhere.
Yeah.
And shit.
And the visitor dressing room was up about 200 stairs. It felt like 200 stairs.
Of course it was.
On purpose.
And after getting beat up and pretty much knocked out, you had to climb these stairs to go to the dressing room.
Oh my god!
And it was, I think I might have stopped 3 times going up. And
Sit down, just think about things, or what?
And then this is a little bit with the story with Link Gates, is that I'm like, so I'm getting stitched up. Slats is having a meeting with the team, and he pulls me in while I'm getting stitched up, and he's giving the team shit, said this is such an embarrassing, we lose to San Jose, going on and on and on. And then he looks at me, he goes, and you ever embarrass the organization like that again? And he goes, look at you, you're all bleeding all over the place, you're all stitched up. He goes, here's 500, go out and go get pissed.
The Cow Palace is fucked up. Like, you walk around in it, and it's like there's signs are like, this is designed for agricultural fairs in San Jose, and we built an entire arena for it. Oh, and the Sharks played here for a while. It's just like a little tiny footnote in between, like a photo of Elvis having a concert, and then there's a photo of like a shark, and then there's that. It's insane.
Still on the topic, like I love hockey fighting, and this is why hockeyfights.com is part of the Nation Network, because still I love that. I love the old school way of hockey. First of all, out of the team you fought against the most was the Calgary Flames. So as an Oilers fan, that means the world to me. But
Thank you.
Was there someone like, you play a lot of guys, and you actually you have a lot of respect for a lot of guys, but like, who did you like couldn't wait to play because you're gonna fight, because you want to fight this guy? Like, did you have that guy in your career that you always like couldn't wait to like try to beat the snot out of him? Because I see you fought in there's a lot of recurring characters on your fight tapes. But
well, when you don't win too many, so you're not too eager to fight him again. But but I think with Calgary, I always thought it was probably Rob Ramage that I fought a lot, and it just seemed like we ended up being pretty good friends. And I see him on the road once in a while, but it was one of those, he was a stay-home defenseman, played hard every night, good leader, and we always found a way to, getting a little bit of a tussle now and then. But it's one of those things, like you move on and you go to the next game, and, and you have your 3 tough guys or 4 tough guys, and they're looking down the list of the penalty minutes, and they're like, okay, this guy out, I'm going to go after this guy. And I think of I was friends with Brad May after he played in Buffalo, and he tells me the story that there was him, Barnaby, and May, the three, and Razor, right? And they would argue who they were going to fight that night. And that's not even right. Like, you think of it, I had never looked at the penalty minutes and who I was going to fight. These guys were arguing who they were going to fight with at that time. And I thought it was just crazy that they talked about that.
Are you looking forward to a time when the Battle of Alberta kind of gets some of the teeth that it used to have? There was a period where it kind of, tapered off a little bit. But do the Oilers and Flames need a playoff series against each other to get that back?
Well, I think it doesn't matter if it's going to be football or hockey. There's always going to be that rivalry with Edmonton and Calgary. And, we have the best player in the world. Edmonton has the best player in the world. And you know what? And Calgary has, some good players. There's no question. Like, you look at Monahan, Goudreau, they got the best defenseman in the league this year. And he had a bounce-back season. And going back to him, Giordano, he was my favorite player when I was coaching. I just thought he brought everything every night. And for an ex-Oiler to say it about a Calgary player, I just thought he battled hard, he worked hard, he led by example, and he was a really good leader. And, he put that team together and everybody followed him. But I think that, Oilers will find a way, hopefully soon with Dave Tippett coaching them, that they can make the playoffs, and that could be a huge rivalry again. And I'm sure that the players really get up for the games. There's no question about it. But you're not going to see what you've seen back in the 80s and 90s. There's no question, because the players now are more skilled. There isn't that more physical opponent that it was back then. And, you're going to see more of a fast game, hard checking, and you're going to see a lot more goals.
You talked about coaching and Ron Lowe and what he meant to you. I'm curious about what the transition was like for you, going from a player to now being a coach. Do you kind of look back at some of the coaches that you had and try to carry pieces forward with you, or did you try to approach it with your own style? No,
you're exactly right. I was lucky. It's hard to get back in the game after you're done playing. Everybody says when you're done playing, I'm going to stay in the game. I'm going to, whatever. It doesn't happen that easy. And so I was very fortunate when I retired. I got to coach right away with Jeff Ward. I was with the Roadrunners here in Edmonton when the lockout was, so that we had a AHL team here, and he was great. He was a teacher at one time, and then he ended up becoming a great coach, and now he's in Calgary. But he taught me, you think you're a player that you know everything about the game, but you don't. As a coach, you have to learn everybody's job. You have to know everything about the penalty kill. You have to know everything about the power play system-wise, and then you need to know your players. As a player, you honestly just concentrate on your own play. There's no question about that. And you go on from there. But there's a huge thing in the coaching. When you become a coach, there's a huge learning curve. And I was lucky that I came in with Jeff Ward that taught me that. And I look at the coaches now that I'm a head coach. I look at head coaches that I had in the past, and I take a little bit of what they taught me, or some of them a lot, and some maybe not so much. But I feel like if you didn't have those experiences, you're not going to be able to do as good a job as you're going to do.
So you've got all these different types of players on the team. You've got obviously a guy that, like, how do you decide how you're going to deal with each one individually? Do you just kind of take each player individually and think about it, or do you have you got the leader, he doesn't need to be told how to act, or do you make a point of teaching him in front of everybody so the other guys see it? Like, how do you decide how you do that?
You know what? I'm just going to talk about my experience last year in Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
I had a great leader, Nolan Yaremchuk, and he's a Northern Alberta boy. And I never had to tell him anything. He just knew what we wanted, and he did it. And you know what? He had a great WHL career, and he's going to go to Calgary, go to university now. But to me, he's the ultimate leader. He was, he would do whatever he took to win. It didn't matter. But to him, he made my job a lot easier when you have people like that. But the same thing, you know what? We want all these kids to develop. There's so much more for them to develop coming in. Because you know what? If you draft a kid, he plays in the Dub or he plays in the O, then he goes to the American League. There's still more development. And you look at the Oilers, they got Jones and Bear and the guys that are down there, well, they're down there developing, and they're going to play in the NHL one day. We all hope, because they're good prospects. But it's all about development down there, and Jay Woodcroft is doing a great job with these kids, of developing these kids. He's got Dave Manson down there with him, and with a lot of experience as a defenseman. So with these young kids, they're given the tools and the keys to develop. And with junior hockey, you're dealing sometimes with 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. So on our team last year, we had 4 16-year-olds. So, they don't even.
How do you manage a 16-year-old as you? Are you like, listen, motherfucker, I would do
No.
400
that's the
pull-ups
thing.
before you even got out of bed? Like, how do you
can't
deal with a trillennial almost?
There's no yelling anymore at players or barking at them. You can't. And I've guys told me that before I went there, that the players have changed a lot. And I just ended up being just myself. And if I felt like I needed to talk to them on the side, I'd bring them into the dressing room instead of embarrassing them in front of the guys. Because at 16, you can crumble. You can crumble, and the first person they're going to call is their mom, or their dad, or their agents.
Their agents, you little shit.
And but we're lucky that we had no problems with our guys, and it's due to our leadership, which you talked about it before, is that we had good leadership, and they kept everybody intact, and we didn't have many issues last year.
So I have 2 questions, Chalmers. Do you mind? Do you mind if I ask Kelly Buchberger 2 questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay?
Kelly, do you mind?
Yeah, no. Second,
I have a feeling Chalmers has the answer to the
Well,
questions.
that's why I asked the boss of the
You know what? Let me take it from here. What do you need to know?
There are certain players who play for the Oilers.
Oh, good
And
start.
there are other players who are the Oilers. Right? When I look at, having been an Oilers fan for a long time, I look at players that come through the years, and when you got dealt, I was supremely pissed because I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. Kelly Buchberger is the Oilers. When you came back for the strike shortened year, the year we lost to the strike, I was like, thank fuck this guy has come home. What does it mean to be an Oiler to you? Because we had one of the things that drives Oilers fans nuts right now, and maybe not so much in the last year, but the culture of the team. I don't think that you hear stories about back in the day, if you stepped on the Oilers logo on the dressing room floor, you'd have the shit kicked out of you. And now it's stuck to the roof, so no one steps on the logo anymore. But what does it mean to be an Oiler to you?
I think it means everything to me. I didn't know anything different than an Oiler, and because I came in and I played here for, I think I was in the organization for 13 years, and the Oilers meant everything to me. And being part of it, and the success we had, and the friendships you make throughout your career. I still talk to 1 or 2 players that I played with back in the 80s, still almost once a day. I talk to Mark Lamb every day. I talk to Mac T probably every second day, and so you have these relationships with players, and you never forget it. And and Mark had a short career with the Oilers, but he still considers himself an Oiler. And he moved on to different organizations, but he still, Oilers is his team. And with me, I think we're all very loyal to the Oilers. I think that, I'd love to come back and coach the Oilers at one time, but, I had my chance here with I think I went through 5 coaches. Yeah. I think maybe more. I have no idea.
You were the only one that stuck around for a bit there.
Don't worry, we'll get stable and you can come back. We're working on that.
And it's one of those things that, my goal is always to come back here. I live here, and I would love to coach the Oilers at one day, but I'm not ready for it yet. I'm let's go spend my time and coach the kids and move to different directions. But my goal probably is, there's no question, is that I'd like to coach the Oilers one day.
If you're sitting down with a kid, let's say theoretical situation, and you're like, you just got drafted by the Oilers. You've arrived from Northern Europe. You're from Russia. You're Yakupov. You're from the middle of fucking nowhere. You may not even have heard about the Oilers except for the 80s Oilers. How would you explain to them, this is what it means to come to Edmonton, where you're not on page 5 of the sports page, you're on page 1. People are going to lip you off at a 7-Eleven for not shooting more than the power play. How would you explain to somebody and impart that this is what it means to be an Oiler?
Well, I ran the player development for the Oilers for a few years, and I dealt with a lot of the kids, and we can never forget about the past, because it built Edmonton what it is, and with the great players that we had throughout those years is unreal and unheard of that you're ever going to probably see that again. But it's a new culture with the team. Having Connor where he is in his career, we need to move on with this team and try and build this team. And you're right. You can't go to 7-Eleven without buying a Slurpee without someone taking a picture with you, because they love their Oilers here. People love their Oilers.
What you do matters when you're in Edmonton.
Exactly. And you know what? Listen, if you're a bad person and you play for the Oilers, you're probably not going to play for them very long, because this is a small community. Everybody knows who you are. So if you're not giving to the community and you're not treating people with a lot of respect in the community, you're probably not going to last, and it's going to get out there that you don't belong in this area. And I always tell the players that, listen, I want you to treat everybody how you want to be treated. That's all I want you to do. So that means your fellow teammates, your coaches, and the community. And they look at me when I said community. I said, yeah, because this is a small community. They live and breathe blue and orange. They do 100%. They do. And we probably have the best fans in the league. And I've said this before earlier, and we do, because they're loyal and they know who the players are. They know them. And you can go, like, I played in LA for a while, and I lived in Manhattan Beach, and I walked down the street, Strand. No one knew who it was, which was great. But
some guys love that, though, right?
Yeah,
They're like, this is amazing. I like the anonymity and the massive.
I mean, you miss it once in a while, I'm sure.
But you come to Edmonton, and you can't, like, I like to go to a couple dive bars and go in there and hang out.
Gas pump?
No, I won't.
Shut down, Chalmers. What do you fucking know about that?
I won't mention.
Don't make Kelly Buchberger tell his secret hideout. Shit.
Oh, this is a shout out to Franco's Pizza.
Great pizza, by the way.
Oh, yeah, not bad. We were just there the other day.
Great pizza. VLTs are loose, too.
I love people watching there at Franco's.
Do people still come up to you? Like, people come to you everywhere still and talk to you. Hi, Kelly Buchberger.
Yeah,
how are you doing, right?
I sit in the dive bar there and have a pizza or a lasagna on Thursday is $9.
What a deal. My other question, I'm like working myself up to this challenge, because if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. We can make this all go away. But I think you're uniquely qualified to be asked this question. Like, what has happened? Why have we gone so long since the Cup run of 06 when you were at the organization that year? Like, if you were to put a pin to what happened to the program to derail it, what do you think went wrong?
You know what? I don't know. I get asked that question a lot, and you move so many coaches through because you think that you have the right recipe for success. Every team does when you start the season with. And you draft players that you think that are going to change the organization, and some don't turn out the way you want to be. And if you miss on a first rounder or a couple of first rounders, it's really going to hurt the organization. There's no question about that. And, you get the best player in the world, and you think things are going to change. And he does change the game for the Oilers, there's no question. And Draisaitl is a huge compliment. But, you need more pieces to change things. And I don't know what the right answer is. I feel like every time the season starts, the Oilers, I always say we, but they have a chance to win. They really do. And, I'm in Tri-City. I've been on his organization for 2 years now, but I watch the highlights every day of the Oilers, and I'm really hoping and wishing that, we have a successful year this year coming up, and we find a way to turn the page.
So you can't point, and maybe you can't tell us because Chalmers is here and he'll repeat it all the time, but when you look at that stretch of time, the 13 years, do you see things looking back, you're like, okay, knowing what I know now, if we turned left instead of right, is it a collection of bad players? I think one of the things that we're always trying to scratch our heads about is just how do you have that many coaches? How do you have that many different players and not be able to put together a Golden Knights island of misfit toys and make it to the second round?
I don't have an answer for you, because it seemed like in the years that I was coaching here, assistant coach here, we had every first rounder all the time and first pick, and with Taylor and Yakupov, went what?
Number one, the
Nuge. And you know what? You think you're getting the best player all the time, and you think that one player is going to turn you around, but it doesn't. It takes a while, and they have to gel together, and they have to build a culture to a winning culture, and it has to be. You have to have maybe at that time they didn't have good senior leaders at that time, and maybe they could have had a couple older guys that had won before to come in and maybe give them, what it took back then. You can have coaches that have won, but it's not the same when you're in the dressing room and you're part of the team. As assistant coach, you're supportive of the coach. That's it.
Yep.
So you don't really get involved with the players a lot. You can be the player's best friend, but ultimately you're the head coach. You're doing the job for him. So I felt back in those days, I thought if they would have brought in maybe a more experienced guy that played in NHL or played in NHL that had won, it maybe made a difference. They brought in Andrew Ferentz later on, but it was probably too late at that time.
Do you sit there as Kelly Buchberger watching young kids now and be like, God damn little bastards, if I was 18 years old, I'd be out there doing X and Y. Like, it must be hard because you're such a heart and soul player to coach kids and be like, why don't you block a shot with your face, you little fuck face?
Well, listen, every player has their own character.
Yep.
And I feel like you have to have different characters throughout your whole team for you to win. And everybody has a role. And I really feel, I tell my team this all the time in Tri-Cities, that everybody's a leader. There's no question. You wouldn't have got this far into the WHL if you weren't a leader in some sort. Like you might have been a leader in your minor hockey team, your midget team, whatever, but you found a way to make the WHL. So you got leadership qualities. So I always felt that for us to win in Tri-Cities, everybody had to lead by example. We didn't have anybody that used to shoot their mouth off because right from the start, we said that we never quit. That was our motto. We'll never quit. And so with Brian Peller and myself, which is my assistant coach, we built a culture with the leaders there, and everybody bought in. And that's how I feel like with a winning team and an NHL team, if everybody buys into what the coach is selling and the organization is selling, you have a chance to win.
So what does it look like? Sorry to interrupt, Baggedmilk. I just want to finish this off. Like if you're sitting in the Thrashers dressing room and you're like, oh boy, we got some hardware problems here. We don't necessarily have all the equipment that we need to participate. Do you actually see people tune coaches out and just be like, yeah, that's not really going to be happening for me? Like, what does it look like between a room that has bought in and hasn't bought in?
Well, it's hard to put Atlanta in that area because, listen, there was a lot of guys that came from the AHL that played. Half our team were AHL players, and half of them were fourth line players in the NHL because back then you weren't giving up your top six forward to come and play. And so we had a lot of misfits. I can't remember how many goalies we went through. It was crazy. I think we went through 12 goalies or something like that throughout the season. So putting Atlanta, put Atlanta in that area is not great. Fair enough. And you know what? Shout out to our coaches there, like Kurt Fraser. We had, he had success in the IHL with Orlando. Yeah. They won the championship. And then he come and coach the Islanders, and it was hard for him. It really was, or not the Islanders, the Thrashers, and it was really hard for him. I just remember him punching brick walls, and I'm like, that man is the toughest man I've ever met. I can't put them in that category.
But a room though, a room that buys in and a room that doesn't buy in, maybe more skilled. And like, Atlanta wasn't the right example. Like just. Is it a lot of little things that you're sitting there in the room? You're like, oh shit, people haven't bought in. Is it people like the Senators on the road with the dumb Uber guy lipping the coaches off? Like, what do you like? What are all the little differences that you can see between a room that's bought in and doesn't?
Yeah, you don't want that. There's no question what you just mentioned, but I don't even want to talk about them. But I always felt with the Oilers, the leadership comes from right from the top. And in our day with Peter, I love Peter. I still talk to him when I go to Palm Springs and go golfing.
You go golfing with Peter Pocklington when you go to Palm Springs?
Well, not anymore because he can't see.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he can't see very well. But I spend time. I'll go for a couple of drinks with him. And but for us back then, he was great. I know the community, it's not their favorite person.
Remember he came back, he got his cheer.
Yeah.
Right? New Oilers fans, I think, have made peace with Peter Pocklington.
If you know Peter... He can be a good friend.
If I walked into a bar in Palm Springs and saw you and Peter Pocklington sitting there shooting the shit, I'd be like, I need to come to Palm Springs more. There's a lot of Oilers stuff going on down here. This is something else.
Coming back to yourself, you mentioned that a goal of yours is to come and coach the Edmonton Oilers. And I'm curious, you said you still have some stuff to learn. So my question is, as a guy who played 1,182 NHL games, you've been in coaching and player development for the last 15 years. What do you think you still have to work on as a coach before you can make the next step?
I think it's everything. You can go from the way you deal with players to get the best out of your players, system work to changing in mid-stride of the game, there's so much more. Like you think that you have it all, and there's some days when you're winning, you feel like the best coach in the league, and then if you lose 3 in a row, like God, I fucking can't win. I don't know, I'm a bad coach. But so it can be confidence too. It really is, and I feel like I have a chance at one time to coach in the NHL as a head coach, but I'm no rush right now. I feel young. I'm only 52. I know there's been a lot of coaches younger, but I feel I'm young. I feel like I can adapt to the players, and I just got to make sure that my whole all-around game as a coach has to be there before I get the chance, because I don't want to be a one and done. I want to have success when I get there.
Was it weird coaching with Dougie Waite last year? Were you like, God damn, Doug Waite's a head coach of the NHL?
I love him. I lived with him.
Yeah. Well, it's been weird to come back years later after being playing
as
together and be
players
like, guess what, Doug? We're in charge.
You know what? Unfortunate things didn't work out there in Long Island.
Yeah.
Dougie is just an unreal person. Dougie lived with us at our house for a couple of years. It was funny, that quick story about Dougie is that Dougie got traded to the Oilers for Esatikin, and he got traded in the afternoon in New York during the game day. And so they just changed shopping carts, and Dougie didn't know anybody. So later on, Dougie goes, I said, Dougie, you come and live with us at our house in Edmonton. And we had 2 young kids back then. And so Dougie stayed with us. And then after the season, come back for training camp, Dougie goes, hey, Bucky, you mind if I shack in for a while get ready for the season and I'll find a place? I said, yeah, no problem. So 2 years later, Dougie moved out.
You bastard, you're making millions of dollars living in my house.
Yeah.
And so then you go back and you meet up again in Long Island. It was just like, hey, we're getting the band back together. Here we go. It must have been a good time.
It was. You know what? We thought we had the right pieces. There's no question. We got off to a good start. We really did. And then we crumbled. We really did. And, it's all blame to the coaches. We feel like we thought we were doing the right thing. At times we were pressured to do other things that we didn't want to do, that we had to do, and we should have stuck to our guns.
Chalmers, you just came back in the room from a quick mid-interview pee, which I respect.
2 absolute beauties, and we're going to end off our Nation Real Life episode with our conversation that myself and Baggedmilk had with freshly retired defenseman Eric Gryba.
Welcome to episode 141 of Nation Real Life here on the Nation Network, and we have a fantastic guest, a fantastic Mary Brown's pop-in. Joining us on the line is newly retired defenseman, former Oilers defenseman, Eric Gryba. Eric, thanks for your time today. I want to start with the retirement announcement. When did you kind of come to that decision, and why did you feel like now was the right time to hang up the skates?
Yeah, it was probably about a week into training camp in Calgary there. And I just, my body was starting to kind of give out on me, and it wasn't, I just didn't think I was going to be able to play at the level I wanted to. And, I wasn't enjoying going to the rink as much as I'd used to. So I decided for everyone involved to step away and, take on the next challenges in my life.
So as an Oilers fan, Eric, it wasn't because the idea of playing in Calgary was so horrible that you decided to hang up your skates forever.
Yeah, well, I put that jersey on for the first practice, and I was like, maybe this isn't for me.
Eric, I want to go back through your career a little bit, starting with kind of your minor hockey days. You're a Saskatchewan guy. That's where you played your minor hockey. At what point when you were younger did you kind of sit there and have the realization, like, man, I think the NHL is like a real goal here?
The NHL was always a goal. I never thought it was going to happen. To tell you the truth, I knew, I was talented, but I was never the best by any means. I was never a superstar growing up. It was, my dreams are like, well, if I could, at first I was like, if I could play in the WHL, that'd be great. But then I had planned, then I, had goals to play in the NCAA. So, and then that, and then I was like, if I can get a scholarship, that would be unbelievable. And then, I just kept kind of grinding my way through the different levels and kept, luckily I played on a lot of good winning teams, and just kept kind of advancing from level to level until I finally made it to the NHL.
Was there a moment was it whether you're at Boston University or somewhere else where you thought, yes, the NHL is a goal, but this is actually going to happen for me?
Yeah, I think that probably happened. I'd say maybe my last 2 years at Boston University. I was really starting to, come into my own as a player, find my game, find the role that I knew I'd be able to play, at the next level. So, I had good coaches that kind of helped me realize, what's going to make me successful, in the collegiate ranks, but also, moving on into the next levels. I'd coached, like Jack Parker and David Quinn. They're the Quinn of the Rangers. So, they were really instrumental in, basically saying, hey, you need to play this style of game, and, those are going to be your best chance. That's going to give you the best chance to make it to the National League.
So you eventually did make it to the NHL. You made your debut in 2012. Do you remember the specifics of that debut, and were there any moments that really stood out to you?
The whole thing was a whirlwind. I know it was Dash 1 in my second shift. So that I remember that pretty clearly. But no, that was a cool moment. My mom was able to fly into town because it was a last minute kind of deal. So she made it, and my dad and my friends and family at home were able to watch it on the TV, and it was it was obviously a dream come true. As cliche it is, as it is, every kid dreams of playing in the NHL, and I got to do it in Toronto, which was pretty cool as well.
Did you have like a welcome to the NHL moment, something kind of like I'm facing off against player X, where you kind of looked down the ice and you thought, oh shit, we're actually doing this. I'm in the big dance now.
Yeah, I think it was my second or third game. We were playing in Jersey, and there's like Marty Brodeur at the red line stretching, and you, I'm like, holy, that was a moment. Wow, this just got real.
We're a podcast, so we're allowed to get a little bit edgy. Not that I'm expecting you to say anything out of turn here, but what about off the ice? As a rookie, was there one moment where away from the rink, you were kind of just okay, this is the NHL? Was there a welcome to the NHL moment off the ice for you?
Well, I had a couple good ones. Just the way you're treated, right off the bat. Instead of taking buses and you're on private planes, and there's wine on the plane and beer, and I'm like, holy shit, this is unbelievable. And I actually had a good one. I think I was 13 games in, and I had our coach at the time, Paul McLean, called me in, and I had a couple tough games and a couple minuses, and he comes and he sits me down, and he's like, Greg, so how you been playing lately? I'm like, I don't know. Last couple of games haven't been great. He's like, I gotta agree with that. And he's like, yeah, I just want to let you know something. I'm like, what? He's like, you've played 13 games, not 1,300. Start acting like it. Now get out of my office.
Oh wow!
And then the whole team got a hold of. Somehow they found out about it, and they started calling me Mr. 1,300. So I took abuse for that for about a year.
When you get feedback like from the coach, what does that do for you as a player? Does it push you forward in terms of having to work harder? Did you talk to your teammates about what you could do to play better? How do you handle that?
Yeah, you're relying on, for me personally, it was always, a motivator. Okay, I have to be better. So that's, watching my teammates, talking to coaches, doing film. Especially in my younger years, I did a ton of film, going over my game with the D coach, all the different situations, and then, little things after practice, what little kind of plays, those little pops in the middle, those little plays that maybe go unnoticed to the average fan, but make a huge deal when you're in the heat of the game.
Moving forward a little bit with your career here in the summer of 2015, you were eventually traded to Edmonton. Obviously exciting for us here at Oilers Nation. We all remember that. As a Prairie guy, what do you remember about being traded here to Edmonton, and were you excited to kind of return to Western Canada?
Yeah, I was really excited to be closer to home. I was super excited. I also remember at that time, I got traded on draft day, and that was the day Connor, you guys got Connor. Yeah. So it's okay. It's a pretty big day in Oilers history. So, to know going in there, I was going to be playing with a player of that caliber, and obviously the new GM and, knew everything. So it was very, very exciting to go to a team that, was making a serious push to rebuild.
You mentioned being acquired on the same day as Connor McDavid arrived. Do you have like a Connor McDavid moment, like your kind of first experience against him, whether it was just meeting him in the room, going up against him in practice, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I try to explain him. It's like he has the cheat code to hockey. You know, if you're playing Xbox, he just has the cheat code.
Yeah, he's got a game
It's
genie.
not fair. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's just not fair. Like, you can't do that. But yeah, and it's, you know, sometimes in practice, you know, especially the first few times, you know, you'd be like, okay, like, well, maybe he's not like that fast. But then after a while, I realized he was just slowing down for us to make us defensemen not feel bad about ourselves. You know, and then I think he just didn't want to, you know, he just didn't want to hurt our confidence or make us feel bad or anything like that. So he was kind of slowing it down a little bit just to make sure, you know, still pushing us, but like really wasn't trying to embarrass anybody out there. And you could tell that good.
Obviously, as an Oiler, you knew about the history of the team and how it had been a long stretch without the playoffs here. What was it like to be a member of the team that got the Oilers back into the playoffs, and just your general vibe in the city at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it's been, you know, such a long period of, you know, playoff dry years. And, you know, that was a pretty special year, a pretty special team. You know, with, you know, Talb's having the year that he had and, you know, making it to the playoffs and the way we made it in the playoffs. And, yeah, it was really special to be a part of it. In the city, I was obviously electric. Everything was, you know, everyone was behind the team. Everyone was buzzing about it. And yeah, you could feel it. It was fun to be a part of that whole situation and just feel that energy through the team, through the fans, through the city. It was a really special year.
I remember this moment when the game you guys finally clinched against the LA Kings. You scored that game. I think it was the winning goal as well. When you look back at your career, obviously you were a defensive defenseman, but is there one big goal in your career that like really stands out to you?
I think that has to be it. You know, a clinching goal for the Oilers. That was, yeah. I never thought I'd be able to say I could put that one on my resume, but yeah, that would definitely be the biggest goal of my career.
Your first NHL goal came on March 23rd, 2013 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. What did you do with the puck?
I jumped up in the play, and there's a kind of like a 3-on-2, and Kyle Turris fed me a puck in the high slot, and I one-timed it, trying to go high. It went on the ice 5-hole, and I scored.
Did you get to keep the puck afterward? Are you displaying the puck somewhere at Gryba Manor?
Yeah, there's a puck somewhere here in a plaque. I mean, I don't really show too much of that stuff off. I like more having deer heads and turkey fans on the wall. But yeah, no, that's in here, and yeah, that was definitely a memorable goal too. But I still think that playoff clinching goal was more memorable.
Sticking with your time in Edmonton, do you have a memory just from being an Oiler or being in the city that kind of stands out to you in your, you know, almost 3 years here?
Oh, it's tough to pick out one. I mean, my wife and I, Kate, we like truly love living in Edmonton. Getting to know all our different neighbors and having such great teammates and staff. There's really tough to actually pick one moment because we truly did enjoy living there. We still have a lot of friends on the team and a lot of, you know, friends from the old neighbors and other people around the city. So it's I really couldn't pick one just because it was just such an overall enjoyable experience for both of us.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't ask you about grilling with Gryba and your passion for barbecue. I'm a single guy myself, Eric. I'm looking for maybe some help. What would be a go-to dish that I could make to impress a lady?
Ooh, Jesus, a single guy. Yeah, you know what? I mean, if you're not that talented on the grill, I'd do a split chicken. I'd just take a full chicken. I'd cut the back out of it, flatten it, season it, put it on your barbecue for, I don't know, until it hits your 165 degree internal temperature, and you're going to have a nice crispy skin and nice, I don't know, easy show-off dish.
I hope all of you.
That would... Yeah, go ahead.
I can see myself getting more dates already. Go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say, I hope our 13 listeners are writing that one down.
Yeah.
Anyone who follows you on Instagram, Twitter, social media, I think they kind of know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyways. What do you kind of have planned here for life after hockey?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm trying to hunt as much as physically possible and spend time with my family. So it's definitely my passion is, a lot of my passions are in the outdoors, and I plan on doing as much as I can in the outdoor industry and, and spending time in the outdoors.
The hunting, the outdoors, and all of that, was that something that you were just kind of raised on and grew up on, or did it become a passion later in life?
No, I was raised as an outdoorsman. Remember all the years hunting and fishing with Dad, and it was just such a huge part of our lives. And my dad's a good cook as well, so it kind of came naturally to me to hunt and fish and cook what we kill. So it's a cool kind of circle of life thing that we take pride in doing, and it's definitely my main passion.
Mixing your two passions together, your time with the Oilers and your love of hunting, which of your teammates, let's just throw a scenario there, if you're putting them in the bush by themselves, which of your former Oilers teammates would be able to survive and make it out of a weekend alive?
Oh, I mean, you got to take Hendo. Matt Hendricks would definitely he'd be the guy. We'd go hunting together, and he's outdoorsy. He loves the woods and he loves to fish. So Hendo would be definitely the one to survive out of all of them.
Any guys that have no chance at all?
Darnell Nurse. I'm going to go out there and say, hey, he's not going to make it.
No, he's just not an outdoor guy. You're just not or you don't trust his abilities in the bush.
I don't know if I'd trust his bushcraft. I mean, if to show me a good time in Toronto, I'll trust Nursey. But in the bush, I don't think so.
So now you're, like you said, you're going to focus on doing the outdoor stuff and hunting as much as physically possible. Can you ever at any point envision a return to the hockey world?
I'm not sure. I think at this point, it's not in my foreseeable future. But that being said, things can change and opportunities can arise. But at the moment, I'm just going to focus on my family and spending time with them and spending as much time in the outdoors as possible.
We're recording this podcast right now for OilersNation.com, but we also have hockeyfights.com in our network as well. I'm looking at your fight card on Hockey Fights, and you fought some big boys. I'm just curious what you think, as somebody who's done the job, where is fighting spot in hockey? Is there still a place for it?
Yeah, 100%. You can't get rid of fighting. It's a way for us to police ourselves. And to hold players accountable to act the right way. And you can't get rid of fighting. And you know what? Fighting's already kind of taken itself out of the game a little bit. Well, actually, quite a bit. But you can't take it out because guys need to know that if there are repercussions to certain actions out there. So, and if you take that fighting away, I think you're going to be getting into a lot more dirty situations, and then that's just not good for the game.
Looking through your fight card, is there one Tilly that really, really stands out to you? Whether it's like you remember it because it was in a big moment, or you remember just looking at the guy you're scrapping and being like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm fighting this guy."
Yeah, I mean, fighting Ryan Reeves wasn't exactly a pleasant situation. The guy's pretty nailed. So he was definitely one that I wasn't looking forward to fighting and didn't do too well in it either. So it's that was one where it's cool to be able to say you fought a guy like that, but it wasn't the most enjoyable experience.
Well, we'll go maybe a couple more minutes with you here, Eric. You played a handful of years with the Binghamton Senators in the American League. A couple more games towards the end of your career in the AHL as well. But do you have any stories that you just look at and go, man, that is like the cliche minor sports story from your time in Binghamton?
Yeah, there's a few of them. I remember the one game we were in Syracuse. And we had big Frankie Lassard on our team, big lefty, and then they had John Morasti, and obviously two super, super heavyweights. And we're in the first period, and they fight, and Frankie on our team there, he re-hurt his hand that he broke earlier in the year, and Morasky wanted to fight him again, like in the second period or third period or something. And, Frankie just kept, saying no. And then a couple shifts later, Frankie like kind of tripped him in the neutral zone or something. And so then that was it. So then they squared off there, and neither one of them was like going into like engage. And finally, Morasky wanted to fight, but you could tell Frankie kept backing up because of his hand. He really didn't want to fight. But so Morasky started taking off his shoulder pads and like whipping them off Frankie's head. And I'm just sitting there on the bench, and I'm like, "What is going on right now?" It's like, where am I? This is unbelievable. But no, that was definitely the most kind of American League minor league moment that I can remember.
And I'm hoping you can break a tie for us here, Eric. Over the past few weeks on this very podcast, a couple of Tyler and I's co-hosts have been arguing about a fishing contest and whether or not chumming the waters for a volume fishing contest would count as cheating. Where do you stand on chumming the waters when you're fishing?
That is cheating. You can't do that.
There we have it. This is a tiebreaker. Eric Gryba defined cheating.
And I think that's a perfect spot to end this off, Eric. We really appreciate your time today, man. You were a fan favorite when you were in Edmonton, so I know a lot of fans are going to look forward to hearing from you. So thanks for your time and enjoy retirement.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
I felt like it was fitting to end on the interview that had Chumgate in it, and that was probably the event of the year. A great debate. No one knows if Chalmers or Jay was in the right or who was in the wrong or how many chums are fishing. I don't give a fuck. I really want to put that behind me. So thank you for tuning in to the Nation Real Life episode and spending an hour of your Christmas season with me. We'll be back next week with a freshly recorded episode with plenty of Oilers talk and plenty of stories of shenanigans from the holiday season. From all of us here at Oilers Nation, the Nation Network, and the Nation Real Life podcast, thank you for being a part of things over the last year, and we're excited for what 2020 holds.